But we understand. Okay. It is now right at 2
Hold
o'clock.
on just a second.
Okay.
How was your climb on the arch today?
Oh, I would much rather be in St. Louis. All right, we're good to go.
Okay, welcome everyone. We are beginning the Forestation Board meeting at 2:01 on Thursday, July 9th. And we have an agenda with several things to discuss. But before we get into formal business, I would like to thank Ron and his crew for all the arrangements they made for us to participate in the 4th of July activities. And granted, we're not just overwhelmed with customers, but we did have some good conversations, and we enjoyed the time with everybody that from the board, and I think it's probably something to continue. And we were able to distribute some of our literature as well as some things from Parks and Recreation. So again, Ron, thanks to you and your guys. It was really appreciated. And so
I'm just happy that tree's finally big enough to give you all some shade.
it's happening, but it kind of changed over time. So we had to kind of rearrange a little bit, but it all worked out. So that's a good thing. And many thanks to those of you from the committee, the board, that were able to join us that day. And it was good to spend time together and talk about some things. We had quite a few people, government types, stop by just to kind of see what we were up to and what we were working on. So that was very beneficial. So it would be nice to have a little cooler 4th of July, but at least this year we did get a little bit of a breeze. And so I think some of our newer members are aware of our participation in this, and hopefully depending on what they have available schedule wise, they can join us, because sometimes there's family obligations, etc. So we hope we can continue to do this.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess now we can get down to more formal business, and that would be approval of the minutes that Mandy sent out. Any questions, comments? Okay, Marty says she doesn't have an invite. Did Joseph get one?
They let me double check here.
Because Marty just showed up that she didn't get an invite.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if it went into just, if she's got a different email, and I don't know.
Well, let me Marty, I may not have had her on the list yet.
Okay, what about Joseph?
Joseph did get one.
Okay, because I haven't heard from him that he had a conflict, either business or family wise. So, okay, well, we can move forward.
Actually, if someone can give me
I forwarded my invite to Marty, so
Okay,
hopefully she'll
great.
see that.
Okay.
I need to make sure I've got her John should have. Well, that's weird. Joe accepted the invitation.
Well, hopefully we will hear from him, or he'll log in and we'll figure out what's going on. And in terms of if you need something for Marty, we can get you that email, but Mandy said she'd gone ahead.
You want to call Joseph to see if he's having a problem?
I can send him a text, because hold on.
I just sent a reminder email to everybody on the list, so everybody's here can ignore that.
Okay, got it. No, I don't have it. Okay, well, I think we can go ahead and at least get started, look at the minutes and see if there's anything that needs to be changed from June 11th. And as per usual, I think Marty's done a good job. Mandy's done a good job keeping up with us and using the technology that's available that makes it much easier.
Thanks, I appreciate that.
Does anybody have any comments or questions on those minutes?
I think you look good.
I
There's Joe.
agree. So let's have a motion. Okay, there's Joseph. Hey, welcome.
Hi, sorry, having some internet troubles just where I'm at. So
Okay, well, if we didn't know if it was family or work or, and we knew you had accepted, so we're glad you're here.
yes,
Now, and hopefully we'll get Marty before too long, but may I have a motion to approve the minutes of June 11th?
There's Marty.
Oh, good.
Oh, all right. We got,
There we go.
okay. Sometimes the computers are our friends, sometimes not. But we've got everybody here now. Oh,
Joe's in
goodness,
twice.
we got two Josephs.
can,
Do you have a twin?
oh man,
Okay, well, okay, we have approved the minutes. We've talked about the 4th of July. I guess in terms of Joseph, he's been out here several times. He and I are kind of getting to know the neighborhoods, and pretty soon we're going to turn him loose to look at just neighborhoods in general to see what he can find. And we have a growing list that we will submit to the city for review and code enforcement actions. I was going through one today that I know I've talked with you, Ron, about the some pine trees that are in Bridgepoint, and then I was coming back from the grocery this morning, and there's one that's really bad on Hunting Creek Drive, right at Scenic Hill, that's in the island. So we kind of need to
Okay.
have a working list of public properties versus some of the private issues that we need to work with owners on. And Joe was very helpful in looking at several cases that will be on the list. And then hopefully when the mayor gets back, we can submit the list to the city and to code enforcement and to you, Ron, so we can kind of plan what to do next. Because I know one of the questions that came up was one of the memorial trees, the Paul Davis tree that's in Little Hunting Creek Park. And Joe, I don't know if you want to comment on this one, but you had identified some things going on with the water coming down through this drain, whatever the drain thing is, and that probably there had been some issues for the tree because of all the winter salt treatment on the roads, and that would drain into this area as well, and that probably had created a very challenging effect for any tree in that area. And so, that was very insightful. And, we went back and looked at the trees that were between Bridgepoint and the outlet. So I think we have better insight on that. And Joe, is there anything you would like to throw out at this point?
yeah. I
Other
mean,
than getting to know different neighborhoods.
yeah. I'm just gonna leave myself off camera just to make sure that I don't lose connection again. But
Okay.
I, yeah, the tree in the park. I think the biggest concern was just may not be the right species in the right spot. I know it's been replaced once before, so I wanted, and I addressed the visual concerns that I had seen, and then some physical concerns on the tree and of itself that were of concern just from being from a nursery. And then the trees in Bridgepoint, I think we've addressed those pretty thoroughly, and yeah, I'm happy with what I've seen, and I'm getting adjusted to the neighborhoods that are in the city limits. So
And trying to look at public spaces versus the idea that the street tree and the owner responsibility is something that we have a lot of people in different neighborhoods really don't understand well. So that's a situation where we do have to address some education, and we are trying to work with the HOAs to kind of inform some of them on what their responsibilities are for not only common areas, but individual property
Let,
responsibilities. So,
let's get back to the Davis Memorial Tree. What's our plan of action?
I think we need a new species to be identified and find another location, maybe a little farther away from the road and not in direct, I guess, drainage from all the street water. So, I think that was a swamp white oak that should have been a little bit more tolerant of what conditions. There are some in the park, and there may be something that could move to another area of the park and be successful. So that will be something for Joe to think about and give us a recommendation.
Yeah. To let you know, John, or that I identified that maybe and Linda with Linda that we can probably move it up a couple feet away from the immediate runoff of the street to mitigate that risk, and then or just that problem, and then potentially changing the species to I mean, I suggested a bald cypress, but there's a lot of other options that we can consider too, and that was the first one that came into my mind just in the location and its success, and they're very hardy tolerant trees. So but we can communicate more on that
And
as
this would
time
be
goes on.
something that we want to do in the fall when the conditions are more advantageous to planting.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Okay, as far as paying for it, how mu- didn't didn't Mrs. Davis pay for the tree initially?
Yes, it was a combination of Mrs. Davis and I think neighborhood Fox Harbor contributions. Lee, would you agree with that?
Yes, a lot of it came from our so-called Romeo's group.
No. Mm-hmm.
Yes, and
What is our thinking about paying for the when when we get to the time of replanting the tree? Is that since it's in a city park? Is that going to be a city? Ask the city to cover the cost?
I think under the conditions, I would say yes, but
yes,
everybody
I'd
else may
support
have a
that.
different opinion.
We, the Forestation Board and or the city absorbed the cost of the one replacement, which is now failing, and I think the city and or the Forestation Board budget should pay for the second one.
I agree. What about anybody else?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
It's in a city park. So, uh, well, this list. If Joseph, if we can get that list, so we knocked on it. Rather, we've seen it dead for a period of time now. So we'll be ready at fall, so we can make a decision and get a price and get it approved. By whoever needs to approve it.
I think that makes sense. And I know it's probably a little early to really reach out to the nurseries to see what would be available. Typically, I know Andrea would wait till probably late August before they could really tell her what trees might be available, not only for, if we want to do the canopy program in the fall, which I think we would want to, but also for our trees for Arborfest.
Okay, that might be smart to combine it. Let
Mm-hmm.
me ask you, there's another memorial tree up closer to the pavilion that doesn't look very healthy. Is
No, that one.
anybody?
We did not look at that one, and I drove by the other day and looked at it, but it was so hot, I did not get out and look at it. But yeah, that one is a concern, and I would have to go back. And that might have been a red bud, but I need to look at it, and we'll put that on the list for the next time Joe can be out and verify. Because I don't think that one's coming back either.
Yeah.
That particular tree was a memorial for whom?
I'm not
I
sure.
don't think it was for the policeman. I think the policeman memorial tree is okay. But I think
There's,
there is a marker. I think there's a memorial marker right by it.
Well, let's make.
I'm not familiar with that, but there's a memorial tree for Mike Powers. It's very close to the pavilion itself.
I
To
would
the
imagine that's the one.
That could be it, and we can verify what's on the stone and, figure out what it would be appropriate to do there for another planting.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. We have a community member with us today, Bill Rapaski. Bill, are you there? Bill, can you hear?
I am.
Okay, and he contacted the city, and I guess he has some something he wants to discuss concerning, I guess, is it Cowley Park?
Well, it is. Is that where our bandstand is and where we have the central part of our 4th of July celebrations?
Yes.
And that's it. And thank you very much. And I really appreciate the opportunity here. It occurred to me as I was up at the park that we have a number of Bradford pears that appear to be occupying central parts of our
Mhm.
park. And my thought is that your group might form a committee to come up with a succession plan to replace those Bradford pears, which are the bane of all of our existence, including mine, with real trees, knowing that it's going to take a while for the trees to get up and started, but that somebody should start planning for the future about what we want to do. And then as quickly as your group feels appropriate, to maybe get rid of those Bradford pears so that we limit the spreading of the seeds to my farm and other farms around the world. And that's all I thought. And I would be happy to fund the tree purchases, whatever it might take to do that. Or as you all have been talking, it might be a wonderful opportunity for a memorial event, because I know there are a few people who have talked to me about, getting a tree planted, and I explained that I have know nothing about this other than I'm a tree geek. And that I think that's the only reason I was hoping to join you guys today, just to throw out an idea for whatever your thoughts and considerations were.
Well, I really appreciate your speaking out. And yeah, those Bradford pears will continue to be a concern. And we have replaced multiple trees in that park over the years. We need to kind of maintain the open space because of all the public
Oh, yeah.
that go on there. And we don't want to lose that, because at one point, we looked at some things to add more trees there, but it's kind of like, no, we like having the events, but we still want some shade, et cetera. So, we will address the pears, but
Okay.
and replanting as it seems appropriate, because it does cost money. It's work to, some of those pears look reasonably healthy.
Unfortunately, that's true.
And I don't know, Ron, do you have an opinion on that area? Because you do so much work out there. Ron, the pears in Cowley Park, any thoughts there?
Yeah, that's why I was asking if it was Cali Park. Sorry, I was muted.
Yeah,
You'd think
understand.
I'd know better. Um,
We could say anything.
Take it.
well, yeah, you could. I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay.
My only concern is cutting down healthy trees
Oh, yeah.
And
to
that's
replace
kind of,
them. Now,
again,
as they get closer to end of life, yeah, I could see coming up. I agreed we should have a plan in place to come up with something.
and that may be something Joseph can help us with as we look at, over time that those trees will decline. We can look at surprises with storm damage that would, indicate something happening a little sooner, and
Yeah.
then, have some plans in mind in terms of replanting and what we can do.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
you're not the only one with Bradford pears. The landing is loaded with
Oh,
those.
I know.
and I think, was it you, Mandy, that did the inventory that at one time there were like over 60 street trees in the
I think
landing? So Bill, you
72,
shouldn't feel
something
too
like
bad.
that. Yeah, Bill, we are of the same mind. So keep preaching. Yes, that any funding would be very helpful though. So thank you.
Okay. Would be
We'll keep an eye on that. And, you're welcome to join us. We have these meetings every month on, the second Tuesday, and it's open to all residents.
okay.
And we like to have as much of the community get involved as we can.
Second Tuesday.
And,
I will.
and since you said, Bill, you're a tree geek, we like to get the Arbor Fest promoted. This is the free tree program that is really it's lost its luster, and we've actually reduced the number of trees a great deal because of it seemed like there wasn't the interest. So somehow, and we know there's new residents moving in all the
Mhm.
time, and somehow that if they could be aware of it, at least they'd have a opportunity. And
Is it-
then so maybe your tree geekism can be real helpful to us, to the city.
Yeah, talk to your neighbors, anybody you know out here, spread the word.
And what is the Arbor Fest? John, I apologize for not knowing this. I've only
Well, that
lived in Hunting Creek since 1997.
Oh,
So
my.
my apologies.
Okay, well,
So
you should,
you've
number
only missed
one,
about 30 of them. So
yeah, you
I
should
tell you,
sign up
Bill,
for
I moved in '98, and I didn't even realize they had a city hall and police for a long time.
Now, what you need to do is sign up for the prospect email so you
Yeah.
know exactly when the events are.
Yeah.
And when
Yeah.
we have a
Thank
good
you.
list for what will be available, usually there's about 5 different species available, and they tend to be more mid-sized, sometimes understory type trees. That seems to be very popular with
Okay.
our residents. That a lot of them are blooming, but sometimes we can find some really interesting trees to add some diversity to our plantings. And there's never a Bradford pear.
Thank goodness. Well, and just John, again, real quickly, I own about 500 acres of farmland that's all trees, and that's the reason I bought the land because it was all forest. And so I don't probably need to buy any trees from anybody for as long as I can perceive, but I appreciate the background of what this Arborfest is.
Well,
And
So
the
just
trees are given away. They're not bought.
no, it's like usually 50 trees,
Yep.
and they're like
Mhm.
3-gallon containers. And we all know that trees get diseases, they
Yes.
get hit by storms, they age out. So this is the opportunity for somebody to replace a tree, refresh their
Okay.
landscaping, and it's a nice event, and it's kind of fun for everybody.
It's wonderful.
I,
Thank you very much for helping me out on
I've
that.
gotten a tree every
I just
year.
want to add that the Arborfest, typically there's a certified arborist available to
Correct.
answer questions or guide selections of trees, plus a lot of literature related to each species that's available at that moment, and also general information on care for trees.
Absolutely, Lee, and it includes some things that are as diverse as deer protection, trying to advise people on how to plant properly and not volcano mulch their trees, because that's very detrimental.
Yes. Well, thank you very much, everyone, for all that helpful information.
Well, thank you for your information, and I think we can go on to
Agree.
we all got the email from the mayor about the Arbor Day Foundation. And they do a big conference every year. I don't know that it's an appropriate participation for us. It probably would be a lot of fun to go to and learn a lot, but I don't know that it's anything that we can do. And I don't know what other thoughts were on this. Did you all see that information?
I didn't read it.
I thought
I did. So it's going to be in St. Louis this year, right before Thanksgiving. And
Right.
I didn't know if it was something that Linda attended or if if it was an annual thing. I didn't hear about it last year, but
It is an annual thing, and but it's not inexpensive. And I don't know
yeah.
that we would see the payback on that versus spending the money to plant trees or do other maintenance. Now, one thing that's kind of a new update that happened like half hour before our meeting, that the Arbor Day Foundation is sending out a new newsletter that sounds kind of interesting. And so I will be forwarding that to everybody. And you maybe we'll they talk about education, communication, networking. It sounds like it might be interesting. So I will share that with everybody and see if there's some value in it. And I don't know, Ron, if you got that for the city or if the mayor got it, but I thought it was pretty interesting. But it's a new newsletter that I'll send out to everybody on Forestation, and I'll make sure that Ron gets it and John and Doug get it as well, so we can see as well as anybody else that we think might be interested. Now, the next thing I wanted to talk about was the information from that came from Jack Baggett on, it was sent to all the different tree cities, and it was about, I guess, MSD has a urban reforestation program that they are making available to different neighborhoods. And we, some years ago, went through major work with MSD, and there were a lot of trees that were lost because of the new MSD project. And then there were a lot of trees that were planted, and a lot of that was in wetland areas, and some of them didn't do so well. And I think it was, poor location. And I reached out to Ron and to Lee, who were very busy and very involved with that whole project. And I said, is this something that there might be an opportunity for us to replace some of those trees? And I will kind of give you a synopsis of the response was that a lot of the areas were not well marked or advantageous to plant trees. And so that led to, they're probably not going to be good locations to replant. And that, is there really an area that would meet the MSD criteria to get some trees? The proposal is due by August 7th. And one of the things I think maybe from you, Ron, was that, if we had marking from some of the MSD sewer water control issues, that some of those plants could have been done properly day one. But some of them would not have survived anyway when we get floods.
Right.
I don't know if Ron and Lee would like to add anything to that, because I'm not sure there's much we can do to take advantage of this based on what's available space-wise to us.
No, other than that, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I'm sorry.
As far as we've got some spots in medians here and there that are already irrigated, which is a plus. You know me and watering.
Yes.
But as far as the orange trail goes, yeah, the majority of the trees that are in there now are actually crowding up. This was in my email, but they're actually crowding that bed. And as the trees have gotten bigger, so as root balls, and if they ever have to dig that pipe up, we're going to lose a lot more trees just because they were planted where they shouldn't have been planted. But hindsight's 2020.
Yeah.
It is. You learn something all the time. So I don't know if the medians, even though they're irrigated, would qualify for their criteria. I'll have to look at the email again and just see if there is something we can put together to take advantage of, trees that would
Yeah,
be
I
able
was
to help us.
I was a little unclear on that, if it was like just in drainage areas or in their
That
service
was
district.
my impression, and I would say, if we can figure out a little more detail, and maybe that's the time that we reach out to Jack in Frankfurt to see what exactly we can propose.
Yeah, the way I read it was just in their service area.
That was what I was worried about, so that where we could use some trees could be part of our own forestation planning plan for the fall,
Mhm.
because we haven't really established anything there this year. So we can kind of come up and look at that, knowing that we'll probably lose some trees in some of the median areas. And that brings up another information communication, the WPA certified overlook question. I think the owners they are pursuing that just to see what can be done because they know it's not anything we can address. We had some owners that were, it was kind of between owners. Let's see, that they resolved it themselves. This was over on Harrods View Circle between two owners, and they took care of that. And so that definitely is the right approach when it's on private property. So, it was nice we didn't have to
Yeah.
explain that one to them. Now we had another interesting meeting. We had the owner, the Lavins, who are the large property that's kind of on the, I guess it's the east side of the entry to Fox Harbor. They were saying they'd like to dedicate a couple of trees. And so great. Who doesn't want more trees? And so there was a meeting to look at, what they had in mind and where they might go. And Ron was there, the mayor was there, Chris from Greenscapes was there, and Joseph was going to join us, but he was busy doing his ISA training. So, but I think it was an interesting conversation. And basically, um, I think what they have in mind is kind of something to look at because number one, whenever the traffic circles come in, the entry to that subdivision will be impacted significantly. And then I think when they were talking about just two trees, yeah, we could probably come up with two trees that would be nice to have in the area. But I think their vision is something a little more complex. And I think we need a plan of what needs to be looked at. And there's some drainage areas that you can kind of see. I think maybe there's some small in one of the medians because there's a water drainage issue there and what can be planted where. And so I think we need a little bit more direction. And so uh, Chris from Greenscapes is going to have their landscape designer person look at the overall area and see what recommendations they might make. And I think the Lavins are willing to contribute to the project, but until we get that information, we won't know. And then certainly the city's going to want to look at it and we'll want Joseph to look at it. And, it could be a very nice thing. And we appreciate their generosity. And, having trees is always a good thing. So that's an update, and I don't know. I think there was a meeting after the first meeting to kind of look at the situation and bring the landscape person out. And where that stands right now, I don't have an update.
Let
I
me.
know Corey did meet with trying to find the email. Hold on just a sec. Whoever the person was that the Lavins had suggested.
Okay, they did suggest somebody. I
They
remember that. I
did
put her name
meet,
down.
but I don't know the outcome of that meeting. So
I think was it like Kristen Booker or something like that?
something like that, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Well, then we're
Be-
still kind of on hold until we see what she gets back to Corey with, and then we get a look at it and we go from there.
And is Lavins Lavins?
Uh,
It's actually just Lavin.
it's Lavin.
Oh, okay.
I use that as the plural because both he and his wife
Okay.
are there. Sorry.
Lavin family, Lavin. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I'd
Okay.
like to go back to the MSD issue briefly. Ron, are there gully areas in the build-up housing sections where erosion might be a problem, or on city land that's associated with some of those gullies or spaces between houses?
No city property, so to speak. So I really don't know for sure. I know there's a huge gully up by your house, but I don't know if trees would actually be the answer there. The biggest problem with most of those gullies is the amount of erosion.
Yeah. In
You
the
need more of
location,
a ground cover type thing.
in that area, between our property and Williams, there is a MSD drainage area that they've put in a lot of loose stone. We've planted a lot of pachysandra on our property side, and it seems to be resisting erosion very well. And of course, in that particular area, there are a lot of natural trees already. So I'm not sure that more trees would be needed there.
Okay, talking about other community communication, I got a note from Lee that made a lot of sense, and that we have, the potential of this new downtown development and the areas that are being annexed into Prospect. And so you look at the new, I guess they're apartments that are on the other side of River Road that will become part of Prospect at some point. And then you look at, I think, is it the Ken Carla neighborhood that will also become part of Prospect, and that what we need to do is get the appropriate communication, because I think Ken Carla does have an HOA, and whoever the developer is on the new buildings over off River Road, to make them aware that we do have a tree ordinance, and that as they're planning, things for their community or for the new development, that we make them aware and share that information with them. So Leah, I appreciate you bringing that up. I thought that was a good point to make.
Well, here's a couple of tidbits. The annexation is not final yet. It still needs Metro Louisville to give their blessing. Supposedly, if everything's in order, it's not anything but a formality. But the development, the apartment development, I think it's called the Lodge on the north side of River Road. That's Westcott Development, and they're the same developers for the head property.
Oh,
It's-
okay.
It's
But
called the Coop.
the Coop, yeah, I actually have trees waiting to be planted. They have some pretty good sized bald trees laying on the site right now.
Hmm. So really,
They have to be approved by Metro Louisville. They have rules about trees. Metro Louisville has
absolutely.
rules.
And
So
they have an updated tree list that could be useful to us as we update ours.
yeah.
Okay, in terms of when do you think the annexation might take place, Herb, do you know?
The mayor had mentioned he thought it could be a month, but it's going through, after the city had approved it, which was a couple weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
But it'll just take its course. If it was all done, to meet the approval of Metro Louisville, it'll. What the mayor said, it's more formality, but they check. They do their due diligence to make sure it was.
So it probably would not be appropriate for us to share that information, even though it looks likely that it's going to happen.
I think we need to wait, yes, until
Okay,
they actually are
it's
part of the city
official.
of Prospect. Yeah.
Okay. Oh,
Hopefully by the next Forestation meeting.
okay. Um, I did not have anything else other than I had an email from an interested individual that wanted to know what Greenscapes was using on the public areas chemical wise. And I don't know. And I'm sure, Corey could tell you, or Ron, you may know what's being applied where. And if there's any issues that, from an environmental issue that somebody might question.
Well, it depends on your version of what a problem is. So
And I don't know that it's a problem. Somebody was just curious
yeah,
to know more about what we were using. And it's kind of like, okay, what are they treating? Am I out walking my dog? Is it safe for my dog? That kind of thing.
um, I would not know the exact chemicals, but I know we do a pre-emergent treating in the parks, and we do some hardscape. The hardscape I know is generally like a Roundup type.
Ooh,
Okay. Well, maybe at some point we can reach out to Greenscapes and get a little more information that, we would be appropriate to share if we continue to get other people who are curious.
Hmm.
Can I get back to something when talking about the annexation? And I said it's too premature, but if if we do talk, when and if we do talk King Car, not only talk about that we have ordinance to tell them the opportunities they have as far as the Arbor Fest
Oh,
and the
absolutely.
tree canopy. Let's get a little more positiveness saying, hey, here's a bunch of rules you got to go by.
Yeah, and we can send out electric versions of, our tree brochure and things that are positive communication. I agree, Herb.
Yeah.
Herb, could you identify the proper recipient of such when it's to be sent out? To whom does it go?
Now, the city would have a list of the HOA leader for the subdivision. And we've just said that I guess, is it Westcott, that's doing the development. So there's probably a good contact there that, we can reach out to when the time is appropriate.
Yeah. That's Wes Johnson, and Wes Johnson's very involved with communicating with the city of Prospect.
Yeah, I know I've heard him speak at a couple of the council meetings, and he does seem very open to working with the city and, doing positive things.
Yeah, the city's a partner in that development. We're not, the city's not just sitting back seeing it, but they've been a partner with it, which is good.
Okay, do we have some other topics we'd like to bring up? Because I think that's pretty much the end of my agenda.
Yeah, I do.
Okay,
I guess I
excellent.
didn't get enough words said this morning, but
No, you
okay.
didn't.
There's a couple elm trees planted in the city lot adjacent to my home there on Autumn Hill Court.
Yeah, that would be on the new list that Joe's gonna get, but go ahead, tell him what they are on Westover.
Yeah, it looks like at the top of the trees, the leaves are either a rust or a pink. And I didn't know if that's normal for elm trees or if that's some indication that there might be a situation. So,
Okay, Joseph, you probably can at least comment on a problem tree of this nature without seeing it, maybe?
Yeah.
Oak
Um,
trees,
or you said there are elm trees?
elm
Or,
trees?
yes.
yeah, elm. If they're an American elm, they're susceptible to an elm disease, and that can be mitigated with treatment. I'd have to see it to get a better evaluation of it, but that would be my first guess if you're starting to see
It's
some decline.
either a Princeton elm or the other one I can't. It's not American elm.
Okay, they
We
could.
could look back at our records. It was planted maybe 4 years ago. They're not been in there that long.
And you said you think they're Princeton's, if anything.
That's it.
Remember?
Either the one at Cali Park we planted that now gives shade is the Princeton, or the two that we have on this city lot or Princeton.
I think that's a good possibility.
I know
Yeah.
that the Princeton elm was 4 years ago because that was between that one and the Zelkova, and I went with the Zelkova that time. So I know it's
Mm,
been on the list. So that would be my guess.
okay. Well,
But this was not really part of the tree canopy. Yeah.
but
I have one safety issue, and for Ron. Going down Timber Ridge Drive between the entrance and Putney Pond Road, about halfway down, there are a group of vines hanging over the road. And I noticed the other day with my sunroof open that in one of those vines is about a 6-foot tree limb dangling there.
Mm. Well, I will take a look at it and see what we can do about that.
Okay, you don't really see it unless you look straight up at it. So it's
uh-oh, when is it gonna come down?
I will actually make sure I get out of the truck to look.
you can probably reach it from the truck bed. We couldn't from the ground.
All right, I'll take a look at it.
Okay.
Good deal. What else do we have to talk about today other than we know our next meeting will be August 13th?
And I didn't get an invitation today to join the meeting.
That
And
would
Ron said he
that would have been
did.
my fault. I didn't have your email
Oh.
address yet.
Okay.
Okay,
So while the meeting's been going on, I did add your name to the distribution list, so you should be good to go.
thank you. I hoped I wasn't thrown off already.
No, we want you here. Thank you. And
The
I'm glad
code is tree backward. EERT is the code. I'm joking.
Okay, and Sylvia, you're back from your travels. How are you doing?
I am. I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
Okay, well, obviously we've been doing a few things, and we're glad you're back, and hopefully we'll hear a little bit more from you in the future.
Sounds good. Sounds like a plan.
Okay, good deal. If there's no other business, can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Yep.
Seconded.
Okay, at 2:46, this concludes the meeting, and I thank you all for everything that's been going on lately. We're all set. Take care.
Great. Thank you. Bye,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Righty.